Hi everyone. Okay, so wow, June has been a bit of a game changer for me, which is quite amazing because I knew as I went into June that I was going to experience changes, and although these changes haven't quite surfaced, I should say manifested as such, there have been, how can I put it? There's been inner changes, but they're huge. And to some degree, they have manifested. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain it. I'm going to go through it. And I think this is going to really, really bless a lot of you. And this is definitely now the direction that I'm going to be going in. So first of all, let me just say that it's been made over the past, let me say about 3 days. I've been on this sort of an intense inner journey. And I'm so thankful for lockdown that I've been able to do that. And I feel that this has happened to a lot of people. And this intense inner journey has brought me to a lot of places, but primarily brought me to a place where and this is going to sound like I've said this before and Captain Obvious and all of that, but brought me to a place where I now need to completely live my truth in the light and do what it is I'm called to do. So I'm taking steps towards that. And I'm telling you, you can see all these journals in front of you. I have been journaling like a mad woman. Honestly, it's been incredible. Right, so I'm going to just go through what's happened. So here I have, just move these crystals that way a second. Here I have my notebook, which was obviously in a previous video. And in this, I have an incredible amount of information. I don't want to just open it on any page because some of it's private, but I have been, let me just find where. So I started doing the research so that's my deconstruction story. And barring a page that I've ripped out, I have written all these pages, loads of them, in the past 3 days. And just the stuff that has surfaced and come up has been incredible. And I've realised that just as in a previous video, I broke down a lot of the things that I'm studying and, you know, my own personal study. I'm not technically doing a course anywhere, although I am doing a course, but that's something else. I'm learning all these things intuitively. I'm seeking guidance of teachers online through YouTube and all of that. And I read a lot of books anyway. I was trained in tarot at a young age, so I do have that within me somewhere, and it's sort of unearthing all of that. And I was definitely born with intuition, and I always had words of knowledge, could always write words of knowledge, which is like intuitive words, so they would drop in my mind and in my spirit, and then I'd just write them down. So I've always had those things there. And this intuition has been sort of like key to everything else, because if we all have gifts, we all deep down know what our gifts are. We all know that we have something stronger than anything else, and that will really be the key to unlocking everything else. So for me, it's intuition, and I can learn intuitively very much all these topics. And I find that even though I seek guidance from other places, I find that as I follow my path and I'm open and I open-minded and I listen out and I look at all the signs and the clues and I connect the dots, I find that I can pick up what the messages are. You know, I can be completely guided just by my intuition. Although that being said, you know, I do seek outside guidance as well. I'm not closed off to that at all. But I am now coming into this place where it's like I'm fully opening up to my intuition. And I actually was guided yesterday and the day before, and before that as well, actually. But specifically yesterday, I was guided to, you know, it's confirmed to me to start writing, especially sort of like, what's the word? Can't remember the name of it. Automatic writing, where you just think of a question and you just keep writing whatever comes to mind, and that is all based on words of knowledge, which I have a word of knowledge I've put in here, and it was specifically for me, but I'm going to be sharing it anyway because it might help some of you. and it helps me as well when it comes to sharing these words. And who knows, that I might get a word to specifically for you all, and then I might be able to, I will be able to then share it on platform, and then if it resonates, take it. If it doesn't, obviously just leave it, you know. So I'm gonna really start practicing that. So I really hope this video is going to give you some guidance. It's not necessarily a creative video, although I will be doing those. This is more about what I'm doing. I can't show you all the insides of these journals because they are deeply personal, and because I'm going through something right now that's very sensitive, it wouldn't really be right to share it all. So most of the notes in here now have to be, well, not just transferred, but I now need to start taking notes in my journal, this journal. And let me open it up, I can show you this. So this is where I have been studying all about Fortuna, and all the other things such as symbols. I'll put kind of will be doing astrology in here, but not specifically, because I want to do a separate journal for that, and I'll be using these cards for each of the cards of the tarot deck, and then writing out symbols and stuff like that, what they mean, so I can learn that way. So I will need to get some more of these, but I'm going to be doing obviously study notes on tarot through these, and you know, for these study cards, and a separate journal, because I feel that it does need to be kept separate as I learn it. And there will be intuitive words, there will be my way of interpreting tarot, because everybody comes at it their different way. And yeah, so that will be separate. Although that being said, I will obviously include, if it's relevant, some of the tarot in here. So when I started studying Fortuna, in fact, the 11th, that's tomorrow, isn't it, is her day. So I'll be doing a post about her. My study on Fortuna sort of has come full circle, and I thought I'd quickly share with you before I move on to the other journals what I'm going to be using them for. So Fortuna, okay, so she is a Roman goddess. She has a Greek equivalent called Tyche, I think that's how you pronounce her name, and her father is Jupiter, and Jupiter is obviously a planet of abundance. He's a beneficent, he's beneficent, and he's, so like here we've got, he rules the laws of the universe, which I found really interesting, because thinking about law of attraction and all of that. And Fortuna's day is the 11th, but the Festival of Fours, which is another version of Fortuna, fell on June the 24th. So we have actually 2 days this month where Fortuna is celebrated. And she, interestingly, and this is interesting because I'm studying the Divine Goddess, so that would be interesting to those of you who are also studying Divine Goddess or Divine Feminine, but I found in several places that she's identified with the goddess Isis. And if you buy the book by Sophie Bashford, there's a whole chapter on Isis, and it's fascinating. Then we have here the Wheel of Fortune. Now, the Wheel of Fortune I've put because she actually is linked with the Wheel of Fortune, and as you can see here, she is depicted as holding the wheel. She has, in many versions, a rudder, holds a rudder, the world, and a cornucopia, which is obviously horn of blessing. And what I have done here is I've obviously taken out this, because this holds so much information for me. So I put it, there was just no way I could just put it across. I just thought I need to get this out of my notes and stick it down into my book. And I've made notes of all like different information I found out about her. And in the end, it just came really down to this really basic yet interesting conclusion. I came full circle with her. I'm just going to read this because I think it's going to help. And Fortuna is obviously the it's Fortuna in June, so she is really our topic this month. But this has sort of confirmed to me the direction of this month and beyond, and what she's all about. So through my study, this is what I found. She's kind and benevolent, indiscriminating, because she, in some artist portrayals, she wears a blindfold, and that's what that represents. Indiscriminating goddess with many of the traits of her father. We position ourselves to receive, and dependent of where we do so, So here it says centre wheel or outer. Let me just refer back to this because then that will make sense. So basically, the Wheel of Fortune spins, and the letter of this card is Kaf. It's a Hebrew letter, and it means a grasping hand, or a hand in the act of grasping. And on some of the cards you can actually see there's a hand holding the wheel or turning it, and it represents comprehension in the card, and comprehension of the circle of life, the laws of karma, and the laws of the universe. And when the wheel spins, if you're on the outer rim, you're going to get thrown this way and that. But if you have a look at, and there's another card that represents this perfectly. So if you're on the outer, you get people thrown off. But when the wheel's spinning and you're centering the wheel, you can remain stationary even as the wheel spins. And this card is a way of bringing us to our center. And so this is what I've put here. We position ourselves to receive, and dependent on where we do so, either in the center or on the outer, depends on how our luck plays out and how we handle abundance. So much of man's negative traits are laid to blame to Fortuna, where much is down to personal responsibility. An interesting note should be added here, actually, and this is why I've included this picture of her with the wings. So often Fortuna is portrayed as having wings, yet in Roman mythology, they created this myth to say that Fortuna, when she arrived in Rome, took off her shoes and removed her wings, saying Rome was her true home. Now this smacks of Roman propaganda, and I personally can't help but think of men who think they own their women. They take away their freedom. Roman Empire being that emblem of an authoritarian leader. Anyway, studying Fortuna brought me full circle. Circles just keep coming up all the time for me, which will relate back to my art, which we'll be touching on later in the month. I feel no one is beyond being blessed with Fortuna, hence, she blesses indiscriminately. But we must understand the law of attraction, how that works, the laws of manifestation and of the universe. It's so important to align ourselves and position ourselves to receive. Fortuna is a helmswoman and can change the course of one's life. Where we align ourselves dictates the direction where we go. So the question is, and I think this is, for a lot of us, what are we aligning with? Are we aligning with spirit or our ego? So when we look at our lives and the way they're going and everything like that, what are we aligning to? Are we allowing our lives just to carry us away? Are we aligning to very ego-driven things, or from the ego, or are we aligning with spirit? Are we listening to our higher self? Are we aligning with, intuitively to our higher self and our inner voice, So we can't control the Wheel of Fortune, and this was a message that I got quite strongly, actually. We must not grasp hold of it with our ego. You have to let it go. I mean, even if you were trying to control it, there's just no way. If you try to control it, you're creating resistance. So you must lose that resistance. Take your hand off the wheel. Take your hand off the helm. Fortuna being helmswoman. Work on your alignment and position. There's a lot to be said about control. Again, look at how Rome took away Fortuna's wings, shoes, restricting her movement. So allow Fortuna to not only bless you, but to guide you into your blessings. So yeah, my study kind of has taken me through a lot. There's a lot of stuff, that I could share, but I won't. That's just sort of a basic conclusion. But I feel that with Fortuna this month, with her being our sort of guide this month, feel like the themes are definitely about circles of life, about the seasons we go through. But in every single season, I do feel that we can prosper. I'm not just talking about financially, but, prosper from all our seasons. As long as we, center ourselves. We can't control everything. We can't control these things. But we can position ourselves for a blessing, Just seeing. Yeah, this is just touching on something else where it's, Fortuna used to be seen as fickle or malignant. And this lady says she, really believed that it was down to sour grapes. So if you didn't get the promotion you wanted because you were awful to work with, it was easier to blame Fortuna. And actually another thing, I don't know if I've put that in here, did I? I did somewhere. Where did I put it? because it was really interesting, but I'm not sure if I've put it down in here actually. Let me have a look. Yeah, I did, sorry. Machiavelli writes, these princes who are utterly dependent on fortune come to grief when their fortune changes. A ruler who can adapt his policy to the times, circle of life, will prosper. So, you know, it's about acknowledging seasons. We can prosper in all if we center ourselves, position ourselves from within. We must let go of the wheel. It's all about ego, all about trying to control things, you know, but we can position ourselves. So that's our focus. Our focus is on aligning and positioning ourselves to those things that prosper us, that will prosper us, that will bless us, that will, you know, like the spiritual, all of that. And that's what I'm doing right now. You know, I'm aligning myself with all of that. Align with your truth as well. That's another thing. So, you know, if you need to take notes on this, rewind, just you can do that, because I think there's going to be a lot in this video for a lot of you. So yeah, again, alignment, position yourselves, take your hand off the wheel for abundance and fortune. Yeah, and I love this here. This is really, really important, I feel, to a lot of what we'll be doing and what we're talking about. When we talk about myths and archetypes, which is what this book, this journal is going to be a lot about. It's going to be about a lot about symbols and archetypes and all of that, and how they can guide us. I read somewhere that knowledge of myth and archetype can be practical, and this was by some kind of psychiatrist. Can't remember his actual title, but he was saying that, yeah, you know, when we study a lot about myths, archetypes, and that means looking at symbolisms, dreams and visions, all of that, they can be very, very practical. And but for me personally as well, not only can they be practical, but I also feel that, you know, if you're a believer in guides, you have a guide or an angel or whatever, any of that, or in, you know, if you're a believer in higher powers, and I believe that we are guided through these things. And this is me now really speaking out about with my truth. I've always believed this deep down, and I've, you know, haven't always lived it, but it's like I've come back home and nothing's changed, and I'm back now. I'm aligned, back on my path and all of that. So this book is going to be filled with archetypes, study on symbolism, how it aligns with how, you know, what aligns with my life and how it, you know, relates to my life and all of that, color theory, all of that sort of thing. And yeah, so I can do some videos on how I fill this in as well. It's a work in progress, because I haven't really done anything like this as such. I've always kept things in my notebook, but lots of other things are kept in here as well. So it means that I just really needed a place to document these studies, because the chances are, because what I will do is I'll make an index of words at the back, so chances are this will come into play with something else that I'm studying. So it will all be interrelated and connected, and will really guide your life. And what this will become is also a storybook of your life as well, because you're the one that sort of dictates where this is going to go. Because if you feel, you know, you want to, it doesn't have to be really in depth or anything like that at all. So please don't feel that I'm, you know, those of you who don't like studying, don't worry, it doesn't have to be like that. But, you know, if you feel that, you know, you've seen a yellow butterfly, for example, and you think, oh, this, you sort of think, that means something to me, write down in your book, yellow butterfly. Look up online what a yellow butterfly represents, what it might mean. Just write it all down, and just take what you think is resonating with you. Download a photo, paint, draw, colour, whatever, a butterfly in your book. And then if it doesn't resonate, leave it there, because later on something will happen, and then you go, oh, I remembered that yellow butterfly I wrote down. Then you can come back to it. Or you might have a dream, you know, you can put your dreams in here as well. You know, the symbols that you see in your dreams, put in your book, and you will come away with just this most incredible book of your life, with all the dreams, symbols, emblems, all of it, you know, myths that are related to you personally. So this will actually become a deeply personal book to you. Also, can I just say, don't be precious about it. if you be precious about it, that's going to be resistance, that's going to be a block. You don't want that. So please just stick down everything you need in here. Don't worry about no one else is going to read it, you know, it's just for you. So don't worry about your writing or anything like that. Please don't be precious about it, you know. So that's my symbol journal, obviously my notebook. Right, so I have here 2 journals. Now this, well, actually I have more, but so I have my symbol journal. This one here is my deeply, deeply personal journal, and you've probably seen it in videos before. I've put 2 lots of Tamara River paper, and like, I don't want to show you all of it, but I've been doing a lot of writing in here, and I will do creative processing in this one. So this is something that is deeply personal to me that I'm writing in. This here, this is a beautiful traveller's notebook by Diane of Archive Journals. She's absolutely amazing. And this is one of the most beautiful traveller's notebooks that I own. And it just feels amazing. So buttery soft. So, okay, this journal here is quite specific to something. This journal here, which I've started again, because I was like, oh, in and out of it. You know, I haven't actually started it, to be quite honest with you, because I just didn't feel the timing was right. This is now a journal where I turn to, you know, so when whatever I'm feeling and I need to offload and I can't tell anyone, that's going in here. So this is my brain dump, sort of, well, not brain dump, but emotional outlet. That's what this is for. So I have that, and it's quite good because obviously I have these all together now. And as you know, this is my meditation journal. In fact, something actually really amazing happened the other day. Let me find it. Right, so I literally just quickly wrote down the line here. Now this is a study. This is going to have to be a study because it's amazing. So I had a vision in a meditation. It was a guided meditation, and I saw this figure, the goddess, and she was wearing something very, very specific, a really beautiful, thin, glittery dress. And it was white. It was actually silver with lots of glitter. It was really beautiful, like ethereal, you know. And this name Asheroth kept coming up. And then I discovered when I Googled it, actually it is a natural goddess, and she is, well, I'll let you Google it, but she's a very, very prominent goddess. And I couldn't believe that a name of this goddess came up, and I'd not read it before. Well, probably came up in the Bible a long, long time ago, but the fact that name just popped into my head. I've never studied her. I've never really truly read about her. So it's amazing that that name came up, and I was like taking note of it. So I quickly wrote it down on the day that I had it, and then I know that I have to do a study on her. So so if you do meditations, it's really important to have a journal to hand or a notebook so that you can write down anything that you see, because obviously if it's in a meditation, it has a great meaning to your life. And then finally I have here, so this, see what's in her. So yeah, basically this is a bit of a different journal. I have to decorate it. This is, so I decorate all the pages. These probably a little bit dark actually, so I just wanted to get some colour down, so that's what I'll be doing in here, just washing the pages with colour, maybe even do a little bit of art in the corner, I don't know. But really this is a journal where where there are card readings done by either me or someone else for me, and when I pick a card for myself for the day, I note what it's about. And so this one is, this was a reading for the week ahead, and now I'm starting to document those readings, because I document all of it regardless of whether it resonates or not. I'll just write it all down. Then I will obviously over time come back to stuff, highlight stuff, and see what's come to pass, see what happened, you know, sort of like compare it, so I can say, yeah, that actually did happen. And then you know, over time you build up again a story of patterns and all of that sort of thing that are going on. It's a great way to practice your intuition again, and if you want to read cards, to understand them. Now, some of these are my own takes on what the cards might mean, and then some of them are obviously other people's. So this was a reading done by somebody else, so I wrote it down, and then that's their take, that's how they read the cards, you know. And I might be able to look at those cards and then see for myself and go, well, actually I feel that that means that, you know, especially if it's a generalized reading. If it's a very specific to one person, then maybe take note a little bit more. But with general readings, you kind of take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So that's what this is. So this is all about card readings. This is my brain motion dump. That's what that's going to be. And that's my meditation. So these are obviously all kept very close to me, as is that one. Well, they all are really. But yeah, this might seem like a lot, but when you think about it, it isn't, because when you're just keeping things separate. So when you're feeling, oh, I really need to journal about this because I haven't got anyone to tell, you just turn to that journal. And then when you're perhaps doing a card reading, or someone's done a card reading for you, I have some channels. If you want me to link them for you, let me know. But I have channels that I turn to that I actually feel are these individuals are very, very good and intuitive. I only choose those who I resonate with, and I feel are very highly intuitive people. And they do give generalized readings, but they also give specific readings to you, but obviously you have to pay for that. Yeah, so where was I going with that? Yeah, so if you have a reading, I write that down in here. It's really important to keep them separate, I feel, you know, because I found that when I've been journaling everything all in one place in my notebook, and, you know, pretty much through, not laziness, I didn't feel driven to keep all these things in separate journals. I just felt to keep it in one place. But now my writing's really coming along. I just feel I fell in this slot of, I need to have a journal for that, that and that. They're kept together. That's why I love Traveller's Notebooks. And I can just pull the Traveller's Notebook out. In fact, I wouldn't mind at some point getting maybe another journal, but I really want to use this up. Once that's full, I want to get one this side. Get one like, is this A6? I think this is it's like a B6. It might be B6 wide. I'm not sure what B6. Can't remember the size, but anyway, it's a unique size she made. And yeah, so I can't remember what size. These are B6. So yeah, I wouldn't mind getting another B6 journal to replace that once that is full. I'm determined to fill that. I really am. And I'm doing a lot of writing, so it probably won't take too long. We'll see. There are a lot of pages in there, but I do want to use it. So yeah, I keep those together. Plus I love this Traveller's Notebook that I made, so it feels good to use it. So they're my journals. I do also have a little book that I keep in my bag for quick intuitive writing and all of that sort of thing. So here's a word intuition that I got at the end of last month, and it goes like this. You went through what you did in order to generate enormous power to bring in the divine feminine in a way so powerful and transforming that it couldn't have been done any other way. Any other way would have carried less power and not been able to accomplish what you were put on this earth to do. So that's very specific to my situation because of something that I'd gone through for years and years. And I kept saying, why did I have to go through that for years? Why didn't I, see my truth? Why, all the time? And I got that it's almost like I was in my hibernation. So like, it's such a cliche, but when you have like a caterpillar in a chrysalis, and it's in that chrysalis for a long, long time, but it's transforming, And I feel that for me, I was, even though for all those years I went through what I went through and I wasn't living my truth and I was kind of hiding away, something was still going on, and I had to go through it all in order to generate that power so that when I came out of it, everything would happen quickly, So I went through that for a long, long time, came out of it, and then everything happened in super quick timing. So as I learned my truth again, it was something that I was learning quickly. I was falling into place really, really quickly. And the minute I sort of took my leap of faith by releasing that deconstruction video, I everything else again sped up. You know, it was like everything just speeded up, you know. And I feel that that is what's going to happen with a lot of things in my life. It'll speed up. But if you're wondering why things haven't happened when they have and all of that, just know that it could be that you're generating a lot of power, you know, a lot of, because we are powerful, we're all very powerful. But there's that saying, isn't there? You have to step into your truth. You have to step into that power. You have to, you know, do all of that. But you can't step into power before your time. You know, you can't. When you step into your truth, that's a deeply personal thing. You know, you live in line with your truth. You do that. It doesn't always have to be on the public, in the public realm or anything like that at all. You know, you do that personally to you. But if there's something that you feel that you need to do, it could be that you're, you know, just generating enough power to, in order to accomplish whatever it is that you are put here to do, you know. So yeah, what's that? This saying just came to mind. Don't despise the day of small beginnings, you know, because one day it will all just happen. It will all fall into place and you'll think, wow, you know. So yeah, that was my word of intuition that I got, and I always write them down in here. I carry this book with me just in case I ever see a symbol or a sign while I'm out, or I get a word of knowledge or intuition and I've got to quickly write it down. It goes in this little book. So yeah, anyway, before I go, let me just explain, because I did say to you all, didn't I, that I have something special about this. Now, I'll be brief with this because I don't want to go too deeply into it, but I kind of like got, again, word of knowledge about these circles. Now, there's something that has happened with them that I need to experiment and play around with, which I really want to film for you all, you know, really sort of like go through that. But I feel that these are like balls of energy. You guys, this is the first time I'm actually voicing this and speaking this out. So this is really personal to me. So this, yeah, if we could keep it between us, that would be great, because I will be writing about this and putting this out there at some point, but you're all the first to hear about it. So these are like balls of energy, and each one represents emotion, feeling, and a person, and what they're about, and all of that sort, you know. So I feel that when I paint these, there's a story, there's a word, there's something behind it. And so it's more than just this circle of serendipity that I called it. It's actually something deeper than that. And so I'm going to be coming at these where I come into that space of, you know, relax, come into the present moment, breathe deeply and say, right, who am I going to be painting for? I visualize someone, or I just tune in and just start painting. And then I will be asking for a word to go with these paintings. So much like that word of intuition, these paintings will, I hope, will have words with them. So I'm not just talking about one word, I'm like talking about just a brief word of intuition or something like that. And it might have a title, more than likely will have a title. But I feel these are really going to be intuitive paintings. I feel like these are going to, so like the colours, they will not only be like words of knowledge, but I feel that I'm going to be tuning into each painting and explaining parts of it, explaining the symbols that might pop up, explaining the colours, you know, what the colours represent. And much like when you do a card reading, I'll do a reading of that circle and bring it all together, and then there will be that word along with the circle. Now, I wasn't going to actually share that today, but I feel really led to do that because it kind of ties in with everything else. So, God, that went a bit deep, didn't it? I really hope that this video helps anyone in some way when it comes to your journaling and when it comes to your art as well, because when you're painting in your journals, when we're doing like creative journaling, obviously it's very therapeutic. Don't go down the route of you want it to look good on Instagram, or you want it to look good wherever you're posting it. Go more down the route of intuition. Paint intuitively, you know. So I have these pots of colours here. Now, I would sit here and think, oh, do you know what? This colour, I feel really drawn to this colour. You don't actually have to go beyond that. Just pick one colour, get it down on the paper, and then maybe experiment with water, if that's how you feel, or just rubbing the colour with your finger, or maybe even you think, oh, I need to add a different colour. Have a look at all the other, maybe you feel led, oh, I don't want to use a pencil, I want to use some paint, you know. Do that like a child, because that's very intuitive, you know, and then mix it up, play around. And you can do that in a small patch, like corner on your page even if you want to, or whole page, you know, or in your art journal. Start to paint intuitively, because the colours you're picking are for a reason. So don't go down the road of, oh, I think that'll look good with that. Pick intuitively. So even if you feel that two colours won't go together, but you're drawn to them, use them anyway, because I feel that that's how your art will progress. That's how it would become very, very meaningful, you know, it become very special in that way. So maybe play around with that. And I think what we'll do a video on that. So, and also for the crystal circle, I did a post about choosing. So you have a workshop and it's all about having a look online at different crystals. So you don't have to have a crystal to do this, and choosing what you're drawn to. Now this is ruby and fuchsite. Nearly forgot then. It's an incredibly beautiful stone crystal. I can't really see if that's, so you see the bits of ruby in the fuchsite, and I was very drawn to this, so I was in a position to be able to get it. It wasn't too expensive, and I put it under my pillow after cleansing it, and I had the most vivid dream. And yeah, and so sometimes, so it was really, really good, you know, but then sometimes you think you don't feel led to it anymore, so you just put it to one side with your other crystals, and then one day when you feel like you want to work with a crystal but you don't know which one, you go back to your crystals, and you know, you're looking at them, and then you think, oh, I feel really drawn to work with this one again. So you never really know why you're drawn to it, but it's worth, okay, I'll work with that one, have a look at the meaning online, or maybe even if that doesn't resonate, think what you're going through, write down and, you know, make a note of these things, journal it, what you're going through, and then you can always associate what it is you're going through with that crystal, and then you'll build up a little library of each crystal of how, in what way they want to help you. So if you're feeling particularly down about a situation and this crystal's calling out to you, look at its properties. If they're not resonating, then you think, well, what help do I need in this situation? Write it down, and maybe this crystal can help you with that. So these are really, really great exercises, great ways to work with crystals and to get to know them as well. So I really want to later on put up a worksheet of how to actually work with a crystal, and you can make notes in there. You can even print them off and stick them in your journal if you want to, or maybe just create a little folder of each of the crystals that you have and you've worked with. So I understand that a lot of you don't have any yet, and those of you who've just joined the club, I do have your crystals. I'm just waiting for the bags, which should arrive tomorrow, I'm hoping, but hopefully your crystals will be posted by the end of the week. And I actually chose your crystal very, very, very intuitively, because I wanted something to line up with Fortuna, and in some ways it does, but I was so drawn to this crystal that I just had to get it. So you'll understand when it arrives, and I'll be doing a post about it. So by the way, this is a Shiva lingam from India. Really lovely, lovely crystal. I say crystal, it's I don't like saying rock really, or stone, but anyway, that's what it is. And for me, this speaks more about the unity of the masculine and the feminine divine. So I feel that that's why I really love the feel of it, just rubbing it there. It's like a little dent, perfect size for my thumb. Just get a lot of comfort from that. This is a candle quartz, and obviously the ruby in fuchsite. So anyway, I really hope this video helped you. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'd be really, really grateful as well, and interested to hear what your thoughts are about the painting idea situation, because that's something that came to me really, really strongly about 2 weeks ago or so. And that's something that I'm really gonna set aside time to do. So I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts about that. Anyway, I'm gonna try and upload this video to get it out to you as soon as possible. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.